I've got one question for you. Are you ready to get your game on?
The longest-running off-road and action motorsports radio show on the planet is coming to you live with the biggest guest in motorsports. Here is the only man on the planet who can pack this much dirt slinging and tire slaying into 2 hours a week. Sit back, strap in, and be prepared to get your ears blown. Here is Jim Beaver and the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.
Good morning and welcome to the Down and Dirty Radio Show powered by Polaris Razor. Also got support from General Tire, KMC Wheels, Rigid Industries, Dirtfish Rally School, Gibson Exhaust, and MTX Audio, the official audio partner of the Down and Dirty Radio Show. I'm your host, Jim Beaver, and I got to tell you, we have a fun show lined up today. One of my favorite guests, one of my favorite guys to get on air is calling in just a few minutes. Arie Luyendyk Jr. You know him from, obviously from, his dad's name, Arie Sr., one of the fastest guys ever at Indy. But Arie himself, he's spent time in open wheel cars. He's doing the torque thing. He's had a stint on reality TV. Just a great personality, a good friend of mine. Stoked to have him on air. Also, Kristen Kenney. She's with Red Bull Global Rallycross. You know her as their pit reporter. She also dabbles on the Golf Channel from time to time. She's going to be calling in. We're going to be talking some Red Bull GRC as we head into that kickoff this weekend. Then we've also got Joe Duncan with Terracross, the man behind the Terracross series. This series I'll be racing this year. Series Jason Ellis will be racing. Levi LaValle, RJ Anderson. The list goes on. We're going to have Joe Duncan on air. He's also involved in the X Games. So as we roll into X Games, maybe we'll get a little bit of X Games talk in there with Joe Duncan, and then capping things off, just like we do every week. My sidekick, my partner in crime, Ami Houde. She's going to be here in the house. We're going to be talking some two wheels, some four wheels, some I don't know, man. Things get nutty in a hurry when Amy's on air. You got to love it. Makes for an exciting cap off to the show each and every week. Also. Got a Dirtfish Rally report. We're going to pack some WRC and WRX news into there and some Polaris Razor UTV news with some Work Series results. So got some results going on, but it's going to be a fun show, man, especially kicking things off with Arie Jr. here in just a little bit. Maybe talk about the Indy 500. I guess this is the so-called biggest weekend in motorsports. So tweet me at JimBeaver15. I want to know what you watched over the weekend. Did you go the traditional route, watching some Monaco GP, some Indy, some Coke 600, or were you dabbling with some some pro motocross and maybe some of the WRX from Linden Hill? I want to know what you guys watched this weekend. Tweet me at JimBeaver15. So I got to say, this is so-called biggest weekend in motorsports. I guess for mainstream motorsport, it is the biggest weekend. I know I got up early. I'm a big Formula One fan, as you guys know. Not crazy about all pavement racing, but I am a huge Formula One fan. Got up, watched the race in Monte Carlo. One of my favorites of the year. So I watched that. Watched a little Indy 500. I didn't watch NASCAR. I'll be honest with you, didn't watch NASCAR. But I did partake in the biggest weekend in motorsports. So I want to know what you watched. At JimBeaver15. Always fun to hear what you guys watched. And, other than that, this is a Tuesday show. As always, we don't air, on Memorial Weekend. It's been that way since day one, only because, we like to support our military. But right now, the man of the hour, Arie Luyendyk Jr. calling in. How's everything going, Arie?
Good. Just crossing to Michigan, driving to the Detroit Grand Prix for this weekend's race.
Yeah, you've had quite the past week. I understand you were flew out of Phoenix. I guess you headed to New York, and then you've been at the Indy 500. Now you're going to you're just all over, man.
I know. And then straight after this, we're doing an appearance for Gunk. Yeah, so I'm busy. So I like it that way, though. It's nice. Yeah, it's better to be busy than sitting on your hands, right? Yeah, for sure. We came off that St. Louis race, and we've been kind of flat out ever since. But it's really encouraging because the team is just improving every event, and I'm just really looking forward to getting into these next few races here to see what we got.
Yeah. Well, talking about torque, this year you guys, you expanded, running a few trucks under your banner, 2 trucks under your banner. How's things been? I mean, transitioning, obviously, when you started the off-road thing, you were just a driver, and now you're kind of owner/driver. I mean, there's a lot more to think about it. Now expanding the operation a bit. I mean, how has this year been for you so far?
It's been great. I mean, we've brought on Cam Reimers. We were fortunate enough to have Liquid Wrench expand the program to add a Pro Light truck. That was amazing, and it's been so good because we've had so much more time to prepare. Took a really big risk on a new wheel partner, Hostile Wheels, and that's really paid dividends because the wheel is a lot lighter than the traditional wheel we ran last year, and it's really held up well. Like, for example, St. Louis, we had probably the roughest conditions I've ever raced in it. The wheels held together. The tires worked beautifully. We have Cooper tires on the truck again this year, and just expanding the team has just been great because we've had a lot of moments throughout the season so far where Cam and I have sort of bounced ideas off each other, and it's benefited both of us. And it's helping me grow as a driver, and as a team owner, it's really gratifying too to see that program work. Cam had 2 podiums, for the Liquid Wrench truck, and I mean, you couldn't really ask more for that in your second round as a team owner.
Yeah. Well, and I find it interesting, because I know when you kind of first came over to the off-road side of things and you did some stadium super trucks, we'll get to that in a minute because I know I understand you're jumping back in one of those, but, you kind of did that. Then you kind of got some opportunities in the Torque series to do that. And, I find it interesting because it was almost kind of one of those things where, you really didn't have anything going in open wheel. Okay, we'll try the off-road thing for a while, but it seems like you've kind of made a home for yourself here now.
Yeah, I mean, I've really fallen in love with it. Robbie gave me that opportunity to drive a few years ago, and it's it's just sort of reinvigorated my career. And I love the whole off-road culture. Very family friendly. The fans have really great access at the races. It's just one of those things where it's just all very new to me. Jumping trucks, leaving the ground was never a good thing in IndyCar, and now in off-road, it's just sort of piqued my interest. So, running in Robbie's series was great. Torque is great. They're both very different, and I like them for different reasons. But owning a team is very gratifying as well. I mean, it's difficult. There's definite times where I'm like, oh man, I wish I could just be a driver and show up. And that's sort of what I get when I race at Robbie's race. It's kind of nice to fly into an event, wipe your hands clean and leave. With the Torque stuff, it's a lot of work, but we're developing the truck, and that's exciting too. We brought on a new shock partner, Bilstein Shocks. They've been in off-road forever, and they're sort of making a resurgence. So we took a lot of risks this year. We partnered with a lot of people that haven't really proven much in the last few years and are getting back into it, and it's paying dividends. And it kind of wouldn't all be possible if I didn't meet the right people and, sort of created my own destiny with this team. It's ramping up, and it's getting better and better every race. So St. Louis was a good indication of our pace. Both myself and Cam were quick, and I hope we can just kind of build on that. And, I'd love to say that I'm a winner not only as a driver, but as a team owner as well.
Yeah. Well, and, in the Torque series, I've always loved the Torque series because, as a driver, you get such a mix. I mean, you get these, places like Charlotte that, is embedded in motorsports culture. I mean, you guys have been to St. Louis, Dallas, Chicago's on tap, but then, you mix in Sturgis, but then you go to places like Crandon where it's just, it's in their blood there. And I mean, that's basically, I don't know how to put it, but, Crandon is short course. I mean, that's got to be exciting for you, only a few years deep into the off-road culture to be able to get such a mix of different fans at these different venues.
Yeah, I mean, that was really, aside from Robbie's series, Crandon was my first true off-road race, and I drove there a few years ago in a Pro Light. Cooper Tire helped make that happen. I drove for Matt Cook's team. And I just fell in love with that place just because the ambiance. It's just like the fans are crazy enthusiastic, and they know every truck and every driver. And we had a really good race there. And that's when I first started working with my crew chief that works with me now, Matt Barton. And it's just kind of one of those things where I was like, wow, this is special. You know, this place is cool. I want to win here. And that's sort of what's driven myself to own this team and to put this whole program together to run a Pro 2. So it's just, yeah, I mean, we look forward to that race. Every driver wants to win that race, not taking anything away from the other events, but it really is sort of the Indy 500 of off-road.
Yeah. Well, and talking about the Indy 500, we got to talk about that a bit, because I know, you spent the weekend in Indy. I mean, the biggest motorsports weekend, of the year. Obviously, your family, I mean, you guys, especially your dad, I mean, he's royalty around the Indy 500. That's got to be pretty cool for you to go back there and see the reception for, not only the Luyendyk name, but your dad and, and him in his element.
Yeah, it was very cool. I mean, 25 years ago this weekend, he won that race. And, they brought out his old 1990 car, and he did a little parade lap in tribute to that. And it was pretty funny. He actually rocked a wig so he could look like he did back in his heyday, which everyone was just cracking up. He was just, he's a character, and definitely, I admire him and his career, and I've looked up to him my whole life. So it was fun to watch him, take that time and have that moment this year at Indy.
Yeah. Well, I know I saw the pictures of him in the wig, and I think he was rocking his old driver's suit, and he was standing there with Mario, and it was so awesome. I mean, your dad, it was just, it was just a golden photo there.
Yeah, I mean, he was so proud that he fit in that suit still.
I'd be proud too.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's pretty good. 25 years later, still sitting in the same race suit. So, no, he obviously a lot of buzz around him this month of May, because the record was, looking like it could be approached. And, unfortunately they had to dial that back because of all the accidents they had. But, I think him more than anyone wants to have that record eclipsed, because, everyone always asks him about it. How did it feel? And I think he gets that question, more than probably 5 times a day when he's at the Speedway. So I think, next year it looks like they could easily do it if they kind of reel in the safety of the cars lifting off the ground. I think they'll eclipse that record. So I'm just hoping, I say it every year, but every year I go to Indy, that passion's still there to get back in the Indy car, and I look at the competitors in that race. I know at least I'm as good or better than some of them, so I really want to get back in the car and make a run for it. So I told myself I'd take 2 hours out of each day from now until it's too late to get back in the car for next year. So hopefully we can mount some sort of charge and qualify for the 100th running.
Yeah, I think next year is going to be, super special, and that was going to be my next question. Was what are the plans for you? Because obviously, you never lose that passion, even though you're doing the off-road thing, and I think you're still at an age where you can go over there and be competitive, and so that's definitely still in the plans if you can get everything worked out.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I miss from off-road is just the speed. Turn 1 at Crandon is 100 plus miles an hour, but it doesn't really do much for me as far as like flat out pace, and I love off-road, but God, that's the one thing that I do miss is just barreling into a corner, at 200 miles an hour. That's just something that is irreplaceable, and I think about that a lot. And so I'm kind of missing something in my career, and I definitely want to get back towards that, and still do the off-road program at the same time. But I think that Indy's a special place, and it's reserved for guys who can really put that talent to use. And I think that it's something that I'll need to maybe do a race beforehand or get some testing in, like I did a year and a half ago with Dale Coyne.
Yeah.
So I mean that's the plan right now. So we're working hard towards it, and luckily I have really great partners in Duncan, Liquid Wrench, Off the Wheels, and Cooper Tires that really have the off-road side of things locked down. And now that I have that relationship built with them, I feel like I can pull some of my effort from raising funds for the off-road team to raising money to get back to Indy.
Yeah. Well, in talking about the off-road side of things, I mean, in other series, from what I understand, you're jumping back in a Stadium Super Truck this weekend, correct?
Yeah. So last year, we had a relationship with Quicken Loans, and that's been renewed. And pretty awesome to see a company like Quicken Loan sponsor a off-road truck. And so we're going back to Detroit, and EJ won all 3 events last year, and I finished second. So I'm looking to get some payback. And the Belle Isle Grand Prix is pretty special because you get some really high speeds with the SST trucks, and it's one of those events that I definitely want to win. And anytime you can take an off-road truck on a road course, hit those metal jumps and fly as high as the fence, it's pretty neat. So the fans freaking love it, and I just hope that we can have a competitive run like we did last year, and hopefully maybe improve the spot.
Yeah. Well, and I know it's funny, because talking, we had Keegan Kincaid on air last week, and you and him are a lot similar. You both run Pro 2 and Torque, and you both, run Stadium Super Trucks here and there. Talking with him, he's like, Stadium Super Trucks is so different for me. He's like, all I've ever driven is off-road, and he's like, you go there, and I had to learn to drive asphalt. You're just the opposite, where you were always an asphalt racer, and now you've had to learn dirt. But do you feel like on a track like you're racing this weekend, I mean, you definitely have an advantage with your pavement experience, or are these trucks just totally different than anything you've driven?
No, I think we have an advantage. I mean, EJ and Robbie and myself, I think we have a little bit of an advantage. But, I can't take anything away from Keegan because, man, he's improved leaps and bounds on the asphalt. When he first came over and did those races, he was at a disadvantage, but now he's right up there. So he's really quick. And, it's a good example. I think, like last week in St. Louis, I was running second and he was third. And, he just made the adjustments he needed to get around me in the dirt, and I'm still learning that kind of stuff, like when to dial the brake balance to the front and when to search for other lines. That stuff, that dirt is really it's unique, the talent to be quick on dirt. Asphalt, the track doesn't really change much, so once you get into a rhythm, I think that it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, we have a little bit of an advantage, but I think that advantage is sort of dissipated over this course of the season. I think the guys that came over and started running dirt at first are just as quick as us. So, now it's just a matter of not making mistakes and trying to stay up front.
Yeah. Well, and talking about the race this weekend, obviously jumping back in a Stadium Super Truck, that's got to lead to my next question. I know I've seen the entry list. You're not on it for X Games. Are you going to be in a Super Truck for X Games, or is that something? I know they're running it different this year than they did last year.
I know. It's super frustrating. I really want to. We have, RC with Gunk and Liquid Wrench has a budget to do it. I believe we have to win Detroit to maybe have a shot at it.
Okay.
It's based on points and full-time runners in SST, and then there's also some entries allocated for special athletes such as like Rusty Wallace. So we haven't really made the cut yet. Still not giving up hope. I think there's one truck left, so hopefully we can make something happen here in Detroit and just try to put my head down and win this event and then sort of see where the cards lie. So. I know X Games is, a week and a half away, so the pressure's sort of intense. But hopefully I get that invite, and if not, we'll try to do another event. I'd love to do Toronto or maybe the Sand Sports Show at the end of the year. So, this definitely won't be the last SST race I'll do this year. It's just I'm just crossing my fingers that the next one is X Games.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely one. If you can do it, you want to get on the calendar, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was special last year. I mean, it was cool. It was cool to be part of that event and to get that invite and to have an opportunity to go for gold. And it's definitely a marquee event. And I think that, Robbie's really positioned himself well to really have some pretty cool standoff events like X Games and the event he had in Australia. And now I hear they're going to Goodwood, so it's kind of a crazy series. He's such a good promoter, and the trucks are so fun to drive. Any chance I can get to drive those things, I definitely jump at it.
Yeah, Goodwood, that place. I'm stoked to see it happen there because that's just it's just a fun atmosphere over there. I haven't been, but everybody I've talked to said it's just if you can pick one event to go to a year, Goodwood should definitely be on the calendar.
Yeah, my dad's going to actually go there this year for the first time, so he's always wanted to go there. And I hear it's a pretty, it's a festival, but I hear those guys really push it hard up that hill.
Yeah.
And a lot of really, really expensive cars have been written off in the past. So I'd love to check it out one day.
Yeah. Well, talking about your dad, I know we've talked about it last year when we had you on air. Has he jumped in the off-road truck at all yet? I know, at one point you were trying to get him in there. I mean, has it happened in testing or anything yet?
No, he still won't do it. He has no desire to leave the ground in an off-road truck. And I keep telling him once he does it, he's going to love it. And it was kind of the same for me, I kind of had to get over a little bit of a fear the first time, I would say, just because it looks so gnarly from the stands, and you kind of go, I don't know if I could do that. And then once you're in the truck, it sort of all kind of slows down, and it becomes so much fun. So I'd love for him to try it, but I don't think he's going to bite at it.
Yeah.
But he is a huge fan of it. I mean, he thinks the Greaves Toyota is the best-sounding motor in all motorsports, which I agree. I wish I had one of those motors.
Yeah. Yeah. No, those things, when they fire them up, I mean, you can definitely tell the difference in the Ford and the Chevys, and then when the Greaves fire theirs up.
I know. I think it sounds amazing. Trailing behind CJ is not something that I like to do, but we're getting up to it. We've been working really hard, and the new shop program is something I'm really excited about. And actually, we're actually spending some time at Scott Taylor's test facility next week to try to dial in the shocks even more. And I think we'll have something for him towards the middle of the year, and then hopefully we can win one of these things before the year's over.
Well, it's kind of cool to hear that, though, that, I mean, some of these veterans, I mean, Scott Taylor, the guy's just a legend, to be able to draw from a guy like that. I mean, he definitely, one day with him, and he can definitely help advance. He knows how to dial these trucks in.
Yeah, he is. I've been talking to him for the last few years on coaching me and helping me along, but, I think, he just recently retired in the last few years, and it's hard for him to be at the off-road track and not race. So,
yeah.
Getting the opportunity to go to his shop where he has a little test facility is going to be huge for the team. So, this year has just been a great year because we just had such great partners to allow us to do some different stuff, and it's really helped my driving as well to drive as much as possible. So, I think the last race was indicative of what kind of pace that we're starting to have, and if we just keep improving and building on that, we'll catch up. It's just so hard in off-road because those families that have been doing it forever, the Greaves, Kincaids, they've just got these trucks so dialed in because they've been doing it so long. And, coming into off-road and buying the oldest truck in the field and making it into a competitive piece has been difficult, but we've been having a lot of fun along the way, so can't complain.
Yeah, for sure. So now that we've talked some racing, it's time to get to the real reason you're here. Let's talk about the time on The Bachelorette. No, I'm just.
Is that why I'm on?
No, I'm just. I gotta confess. I talked with Jenna this morning, so that question I just had to set it up.
That's hilarious.
No. That being said, though, I know you have. I've always admired about you. You've got a huge group of fans, and I think it's absolutely amazing. I mean, they. Whether they've been from the motorsports side or your time on reality TV, I mean, you have a core group of fans, and, I don't know of any driver in any motorsports series. I would say the only guy that I could think of that has a following like you would be Tanner Faust. But talk about your fans. I mean, you ever had any crazy fan experiences out at the track when they come up and it's just nutty?
They're probably listening right now, so I can't really say anything.
Yeah.
No, it's been pretty awesome, actually. It's like I said last time I was on your show, it's really cool to bring people who have never watched motorsports and make them into race fans. And that's probably the best thing that's kind of come out of that situation. And the Bachelor franchise, they've got a really strong group of core fans, and it's been really neat to take them along on this ride. And, we did that crowdfunding thing a few years ago.
Yeah.
And the support that I received for that to get me into my first off-road race was unbelievable. We had different faces on the truck and on my helmet. And it's just one of those things where I was kind of the first guy to do that, and I think it got a lot of flack for it. And it's not because, it wasn't sort of, reaching my hand out. It was more like bringing along everyone in for the ride, bringing them out to the races and showing them off-road, and it was very cool. It was very satisfying, and those same fans have kind of stuck with me this whole journey. And they, we had people come to all the races. Sometimes RC does giveaways where fans can, be in our hospitality area and just kind of hang out with us the whole weekend, and it's a lot of fun. So, I'm really grateful for that, and the show has really given me that. So, I have to be forever grateful to the franchise for really, sort of boosting my career again.
Yeah. Well, and it's got to be kind of cool for you to anywhere you go in the country. I mean, you've got a group of fans there, and it almost feels like your home track. I mean, a lot of guys go to some tracks and they know nobody there. They've got nobody cheering for them. I mean, when you travel, you've always got a group of fans somewhere, you know what I mean, that are Arie fans. That's got to be kind of cool for you.
Yeah, it's cool, but honestly, sometimes it's like, for example, at Indy, I did the red carpet, which was kind of awkward because we had guys like Dempsey and Tyler Clary, who's like won the gold at the Olympics. And then there's me,
yeah,
and the lady's like, "So, what's your favorite Indy experience?" And I think she didn't know that I actually had raced there,
Yeah.
And sometimes, sometimes I wish I would get more notoriety from the driving aspect of it.
Yeah.
But there's such a power in television, and I understand that. And, I'm sure Elio, gets recognized from the Dance with the Stars maybe more often than winning Indy.
Yeah.
That's just sort of the society we live in. And, there's positives and there's negatives, but there's definitely more positives. So it is really cool that I have so many people rooting for me. And, that adds a little bit of pressure, but it's good pressure. I definitely like that. And, to have such a core group of fans is always special.
Yeah. Well, and you and I both know, I mean, the motorsports game is changed. I mean, back when your dad raced, it was literally the fastest guy on track, got the sponsors. And now it's the fastest guys, you got a guy like Rob McCachran or something like that in off-road. Obviously, he's always going to have sponsors just because he's fast. But, for 90% of us, it's what else can you bring to the table besides what's going on track, and I think, with your social media following and your fan base and stuff, that's probably opened some doors for you on the sponsorship side as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's, for every racer out there that's listening that has struggled finding money. I mean, it's there's such a business in racing. I think it's very difficult to even be able to show up to the track and race, let alone have the extra budget to be competitive to win races. And it definitely is one of those things where you have to sort of find your niche. You have to search for the companies that share the same goal and are looking for a certain angle maybe, and I think that I found a really good partner in RSC that owns Duncan and Liquid Wrench, and we've had new partners come on this year that are happy with what we're doing. But ultimately, once you do have the budget and you are out there racing, you still got to win, you still got to perform, and there just isn't any way around that. I think being a good marketable driver, only takes you so far. You still have to be fast, and I think that it's just having the partners around you to give you the opportunity to be quick, which can make it important. So, I think that ultimately the fast guys will always win, and that's why it's great to have good partners. But getting there, it's very difficult, and it has helped, which I'm very appreciative of.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I gotta tell you, I know you're racing this weekend. Hopefully, we'll see you at the X Games. But as always, buddy, I always appreciate when you take the time to call into the show, and more than welcome anytime. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and check it out this weekend. I think that SST might have a live stream, so it'd be fun. Yeah,
they definitely have a live stream going on, and we'll be pulling for you. Hopefully you land that last spot in the X Games in 2 weeks.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Arie. Take it easy. We'll talk soon, buddy.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. All right. That was Arie Luyendyk Jr. here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. And always fun catching up with Arie, just a solid guy, and always a fun interview. And he pulls from so many different aspects of motorsports, and and just a solid guy. So great catching up with him. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, Red Bull GRC's Kristen Kenney, she's going to be on air with me, and we're going to be talking some GRC 2015 and the kickoff coming this weekend from Florida. So stay tuned to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR.
I'm Polaris rider Levi LaValle, and I choose Polaris just because they have the best quality, highest performing, most fun machines out there.
Only one company has taken Levi LaValle to 10 X Games medals, Snowcross Championships, a double backflip, and a world record long jump of 412 feet across the San Diego Harbor on New Year's Eve, and that company is Polaris. Whether it's dominating the X Games, racing a stock Polaris RZR XP1000 in the Terracross Championship, or just hitting the trail on the weekend, for over 20 years, Levi has relied on the same quality Polaris vehicles and products you can purchase at your local Polaris dealer. Take the advice of action sports legend Levi LaValle and visit Polaris on the web at Polaris.com to see the full lineup of Polaris vehicles, or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. Baja, check. King of the Hammers, check. Crandon, check. The Mint 400, check. Only one wheel company can say they have dominated the deserts and rocks of the Southwest to the mud and carnage of the big house at Crandon, and that company is KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels has won them all with the help of elite drivers like Travis Pastrana, Ricky Johnson, Bryce Menzies, Carl Renazetter, and Lauren Healy, who all rely on the XT Series from KMC Wheels to get them to the finish line and on top of the podium. Check out KMC Wheels and their full line of XT Series wheels at KMCWheels.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels, like no other. Are you looking for a place to push yourself behind the wheel and see how your driving skills stack up? Dirtfish Rally School is that place. Located on 315 acres of pristine automotive playground at the foot of the Cascade Mountains in Snoqualmie, Washington, right outside of Seattle, Dirtfish Rally School is a one-of-a-kind place where everyone from first-time drivers to seasoned professionals like Bucky Lassick and Antoine Lestage can push themselves to their limit. Whether driving the high-performance, rally-prepped all-wheel drive Subaru Impreza STI is what you're looking for, or you'd rather hang it all out in the rear-wheel drive Subaru BRZs, Dirtfish Rally School has something for everyone. Classes are available from 2 hours to 3 full days and feature instructors with over 150 years of combined racing experience. Whether you're looking to become the best and get an edge on the competition, or just looking to freshen your skills behind the wheel, Dirtfish Rally School is the place to go. For more information on registering for classes, visit Dirtfish on the web at dirtfish.com, or to check out the latest happenings from Dirtfish, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dirtfish Rally.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound at the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Rigid Industries is the original and #1 LED light bar manufacturer in the world. Torture tested by some of the best drivers in motorsports. Rigid LED lighting products use cutting-edge technology and can stand up to the harshest conditions Mother Nature can dish out. Designed, engineered, and assembled in the United States, Rigid LED lighting is the only choice for your off-road vehicle or boat. Find out more information on the entire line of Rigid Industries LED lighting products at www.rigidindustries.com.
The rough, tough, and muddy Terracross Championship returns to the San Diego County Fair Del Mar Fairgrounds Thursday, June 25th and Friday, June 26th. Come see the Razor XP 1000 crossover off-road racing at 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. each day. Get in free with paid fair admission. Who will take the championship this year? Monster Energy superstar RJ Anderson, Red Bull's Levi LaValle, Rockstar's Colton Moore, Mystics Mickey Thomas, all vying for the coveted title in this unique entertainment-style racing. With tight turns, crossover jumps, and obstacles, you'll see professionals navigate some of the toughest courses in racing. Plus, see racing legends like Walker Evans. Get up close and personal with high-profile action sports stars at our autograph session from 3 to 4 each day at Vendor Row in the pits. This high-action entertainment can also be seen on CBS Sports Network or go to terracrossracing.com for details. Powered by Polaris Razor, Mystic Lubricants, Keystone, Walker Evans, GBC Tires, Fox, Rugged Radios, UTV Underground.com, WGAS, your local Polaris dealers, and more.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm your host, Jim Beaver, and we are rocking and rolling on this Tuesday edition of the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Great show so far, but right now we're rolling right into our next guest, my good friend, part of the Golf Channel, part of Red Bull GRC. You see her on those NBC broadcasts of Red Bull Global Rallycross, also kicking off a new show on the Golf Channel. Someone that's always busy, but here is Kristen Kenney. How's everything going, Kristen?
I'm doing great, Jim. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I got to tell you, I am getting pretty amped for this GRC opener, though. I think, it's been a long off season and lots of storylines and lots of build-up, and it's almost here.
I am so amped as well. I can't wait to get down to Florida. It's right around the corner. So we are so excited to get this season underway. And it's our first time in Fort Lauderdale. So that's going to bring a lot of excitement as well for the fans and the drivers and the team. So we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, well, and I know, Fort Lauderdale, the big thing about this is GRC's been to Florida before with Daytona, but this is a street course, and GRC, it's been a number of years since they've run a street course. I think it was X Games back in LA maybe, so it's been quite some time.
It has been a while. I think it's been about, if my number's right, about 3 years since we've done a street course. So, and also, like you said, we've been to Daytona before. We've been to, we build our tracks either in parking lots or utilize existing racetracks like Daytona and Charlotte in the past and Dirtfish. But right now, doing the street race in Fort Lauderdale it's so different. It's going to be a different vibe. The backdrop is amazing with the yachts in the background, the palm trees, the ocean breeze. You really can't get any better than that. And it's going to be exciting because we are shutting down a portion of A1A. And like you said, we haven't done that in 3 years of street race. So the track, it'll be interesting to see how it all comes together. Logistically, it'll be exciting, to see if the track is going to be more like a narrow track, tight space. But I also hear there's a lot of elements about this track that are exciting too, with the jump and, all of that it's going to be different, a little bit different than what we've seen before. And I don't know if I can give all the details, so you guys are just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, I think, we're definitely going to wait and see. And, I think everybody's excited. It's, we've talked in the past. I've talked with Chris Leone and some people at GRC. It's different because GRC has a long season. There's a lot of races. But, where other motorsports, series start in January, February, GRC kind of starts at the beginning of summer. So, you kind of stretch into the fall where others, end. So it seems like, as some motorsport series are going on, GRC, we're finally, ending the off season where some ended it, back this winter.
Right. Yeah, it is a pretty long season, but we like that. I like that at least.
Yeah.
If I can speak for myself, it's about 6 months. So it allows us to space out the races as well, which is great because keep in mind, we are building these tracks and that's different than a lot of other racing series. We have to go in, bring in the dirt, bring in all of the elements. I mean, so it takes a lot of time and prep to do that. And already we've extended our coverage this year. We have 12 broadcasts. So that's, we had 10 last year, so now 12 this year. So that's great.
Yeah. Plus GRC lights coverage, right?
Yeah, we have a 30-minute light show. How awesome is that on NBC Sports? Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, I think that's I think it's great. I mean, as we saw last year, I mean, some of the racing in the lights was darn near as good as the supercars.
Exactly. Yeah, the lights is going to be pretty competitive this year. There's 2 women in the lights.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see how they do, which I'm excited to see. And yeah, I think the 30-minute coverage on that and its own standalone show is going to bring a lot of visibility. I mean, that is pretty much the development league for our series. So you saw Johnny Weeman come out of lights, and look what he did last year, finishing at the top and winning the championship last year. And he dominated in lights. So, I mean, it starts with the lights. And so it's just great to provide more exposure for them.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about you because, GRC, obviously you've got a year under your belt now. I mean, going into last year, I mean, kind of thrown to the wolves a bit. I mean, how were things, last year? I know, obviously, you get your feet wet at the first couple of rounds. You kind of hit your stride mid-season. But, how were things? I mean, how have you taken to GRC?
It was definitely, I was out there, thrown out there pretty much. My background is definitely not in motorsports, but I love it. I have become a fan. The adrenaline that comes with it, it's so awesome. I have been waiting for this season to start. And this year, all of the storylines are so exciting. So when you're actually 1 year under your belt, you really get to know the drivers. You get to know the team inside and out. Now I've been really working more closely with the series full time, gearing up for the season. So not only am I going to be doing the reporting, but I've also been helping out in the office full time. So really getting to understand the inner workings and all the inside scoop. But I would have to say that the storylines now, I mean, it's just this year, it's going to be so exciting. We have 2 Indy 500 winning teams joining our series, and that's Brian Hurta and Ganassi. So I can't wait to see what they bring to the table. I think it's going to be really unique now, knowing the guys and seeing the mixed teams and teammates. You have Brian Deegan with Steve Arpin, and that dynamic is just incredible. You have the guy who's kind of been known as a bad boy, all tatted up, and you contrast that with Steve Arpin, who's just this jolly, happy, he's just totally opposite personality. So the 2 of them on a team is going to be really exciting to follow. And then, of course, you have the mix-up now with Patrick Sandell and Austin Dine, and that'll be really interesting, too, to see how they fare with the new Brian Hurta team. So all of this, how it's all been changed up, and Johnny Weeman with his new teammate, it's going to be exciting to see what people can do and what they produce this year. I think Ken Block is super hungry for the championship. He had to be feeling it last year in that final, looking at Johnny Weeman and his following him and behind him, and knew that that's all he could do. Was he won that Las Vegas race, but he couldn't win the championship. So he's really hungry. We actually have a feature that's coming out today on NBC Sports at 3:30 Eastern that highlights Ken Block and what he's been doing this off season to really win the championship this year. So he's going to come out and he's not going to take anything lightly. So he's uber competitive this year.
Yeah, I think Ken's going to come out swinging. I think he feels like after the opener on Barbados and then Dirtfish, he left some points on the table, and I definitely think he's got to be one of the early favorites going into this season. But I want to go back to what you said earlier, and I find it interesting. You talked about the dynamic between Arpin and Deegan, and I kind of jokingly called them the odd couple on air because anybody that knows them, they're both amazing guys. I mean, and both family men, but total different walks of life. And you look at the mix up with with all the teammates, and and it seems like you got Tanner and Scott Speed with their different backgrounds and how they've come in, and Austin Dine and Patrick and their different backgrounds, and it kind of seems like that's what's where these teams are going. Let's grab drivers from 2 different places and bring them together, and maybe they can pull in and help develop these cars in the program with their diverse backgrounds.
Right, Jim. It's so interesting to see how that has really played out. I mean, especially when you look at Ganassi and being their traditional tarmac team, right? These guys have what they do is in NASCAR and Indy, and so you see them bringing on somebody like Deegan. And I don't know if you saw online the other day on his Instagram, he was signing the papers at the Ganassi headquarters, and you look around, and it's all NASCAR guys, and you see Deegan with his hat, his flat brim hat, and his T-shirt, and it's just so cool. But it brings that edge, and it's definitely it's really unique, which is what I think our series is all about, is blending these different backgrounds and the diversity our series caters to. So you see these action sports guys like Bucky Lasek and Brian Deegan, Travis Pastrana, but then you also see the traditional tarmac racing guys like Scott Speed, Nelson Piquet Jr. And then, I mean, it's great. I mean, that's what works. And like you said, with Volkswagen, with another year under their belt and now really developing that Beetle, supposedly it's a bigger beast. It's going to come out really strong this year. And hopefully Tanner and Scott have been able to develop that partnership and been able to really work and play off one another, because last year was their first year together, and they do come from completely different backgrounds. But it seems like they've had a lot more time together off the track, and they have done more testing. So, yeah, they're another one that's going to be in the fight and really hungry. I mean, Tanner, he's won 2 championships for us, and last year was not a good year for him. He's got to be coming out swinging as well. So.
Yeah, and Tanner, knowing Tanner, away from things, I mean, he doesn't like to lose. He last season, you look at his career, and last season was the anomaly. I mean, he is going to come out swinging. I think heading into this year, there's so many people that want it. I mean, you've got Nelson, you've got Scott. A lot of these guys were so close, and they all want it this year.
Right, they do. It's really going to be awesome when we get to Fort Lauderdale. I mean, it's going to be so exciting. I can't even predict who's going to take that race. I mean, it's so hard to predict that. We know Brian Deegan will not be, by the way. He's not going to be competing until not Daytona, but I think our Marine weekend, the 4th of July weekend. So we won't really be able to see him in action, but yeah, it's going to be exciting. I cannot wait.
Yeah, and that's what I've always said about Deegan, because last year it was the same thing. He's got so many conflicts and he does so much, he can only fit in so many races, but that's what makes him scary as a driver, because he's not running for the championship, so he's got nothing to lose. It's win or nothing, for him, and I think that's what makes him scary when he shows up to race.
Yeah, that's so true. And then, Nelson, too. I think Nelson's going to put up an incredible fight, and he seems to have a lot of confidence and be in a good headspace, especially because he's been doing more racing, too, and with him and Scott doing FE. So I think they're really, this year is going to be more competitive. The field is more competitive, more dynamic. It's going to be a battle.
Yeah. Well, and kind of bring us in, because I know behind the scenes you've got to know a lot of these drivers on a personal level. I know, we were talking about Steve Arpin and his wife. I know you've gone out wakeboarding with Nelson, I believe, and some of the other guys. I mean, how are these guys away from the track? Because I know I've known them all for about 3-4 years, or majority of them, and it's kind of funny because when the cameras are off and stuff, there's competition, but GRC really is kind of a family type atmosphere. I mean, you can walk through the paddock area and get waves and things like that. I mean, how's it been for you getting to know these guys away from the track?
That's why I love my job so much, because of the people I'm working with. And I mean, that's what makes it. That's what makes it enjoyable for me. The group of the teams, the drivers, everybody, it is that family feel, just like you said. You're at an event, right? We're at a race, and you'll see their entire families there, and they'll put up little kiddie pools, and the kids will be playing together. And it's amazing. It's such a family feel. And off the track, and when we're outside of the whole race event, I've had the chance to get to know them as well. Like you said, wakeboarding with Nelson. And I mean, you just see them always including, it's always about family. It's always about their close friends. Really great people. I've actually, when I did the feature on Ken Block, I was able to stay with them, and Lucy Block and I have hung out a fair amount now, and she's just incredible, and their family's incredible. And their kids come pretty much everywhere with them as much as they can get off school. Yeah. But it's just great. It's such a family feel. I love it. And you see that all throughout our series, not just with the drivers, but also with the teams, manufacturers, and internally on our GRC staff and NBC and Red Bull. We always like to hang out after the events, because everyone's cool. It's like a family.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's one thing I've always loved about GRC, and I call it, my family away from home. I work a few events here and there with a series, and every time I show up, it's like, I didn't miss anything. You know what I mean? Hey, Jimmy, and it's big hugs and everything else, and that's what, I don't think people understand about GRC. I mean, I've been around a lot of motorsports, and I've never seen, you don't see that in IndyCar. You don't see that in NASCAR. It's solely in GRC where you get that atmosphere, and that's what I've always thought was cool,
Yeah, that's what makes it unique. It is like that. And even as a fan, you can go up to your favorite driver and they can give you a hug right there. You don't need a certain pass. You just go in general admission, and there you go. You get to take a photo and chat with our drivers, and they're very personable. It is exactly that feel. And, it's funny you say that because, it's you pick it up right where you left off. You may not have seen them for 4 months. You get back together, and it's like, oh, hey, yeah, I just saw you the other day. Not really, but
yeah.
it feels like that. And when we do post-event parties, all the drivers are there, and they're hanging out. They're not high maintenance like you would think. So it's great.
Yeah, for sure. So, let's talk a little bit about you. Obviously, GRC, but I know this off season you've been killing some time out on the golf course, right?
Yeah, I've been trying. I've got my golf coach now. I'm training twice a week. No, I do have a show coming out June 15th on Golf Channel, 9 p.m. Eastern, and it's called Altered Course. So that has been really awesome. We shot in February in Jamaica. So not a bad location, right?
Yeah, rough life, right?
Yeah, right. Not a bad gig. So we shot on location in Jamaica, and basically the show is altering a golf course, and it's a golf competition reality show. So you're not playing the traditional golf holes that you'll see on the tour. A golf hole, an altered course, consists of 3 traditional golf holes. And basically after every shot, you have to sprint to your ball and take the next shot. And it's pretty incredible. There's 8 teams of 2 who are out there fighting time. So you have a time par, and you're racing the clock to see if you can get it in the hole in the least amount of strokes in the fastest time possible. And whoever does it wins at the end of the day. So we've had to eliminate teams every week. And it's totally different because I'm actually a host, like Amazing Race style. So completely different, and sending people home and dealing with tears and emotions and whatnot. But it'll be a whole different show for Golf Channel, and it'll be coming out pretty soon in the thick of our season for GRC. So it's wow, I can't wait. Can't believe it.
Is it like a reality show, or are these professional golfers?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a golf competition reality show. You have to be a scratch golfer. In fact, I'm trying to, I talked to Scott Speed, and maybe we can get him on the show in season 2.
Okay.
Because he's a scratch golfer, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to be, they're either semi-pro, college level, but they are scratch golfers, and it's 8 teams of 2, and they're competing and for survival to win at the end of the day. So there's 8 episodes, and you'll have to see who wins.
Yeah, I'm definitely setting the
our
DVR
champion,
for that.
Who we crown champion.
It's like the action sports take on golf or something, right?
Yeah, I mean it's like speed golf. It's like golf on crack, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's really fast. It's crazy. You have to take these impossible shots through the woods, over the trees. You have to run through the woods to get to your ball. It's pretty amazing because you have to be athletic. You need to be able to sprint. You have to do it. Some of the holes you have to do in under 5 minutes, and it's 3 golf holes. So you're sprinting over hills. It's nuts.
Yeah, I think I was
crazy.
reading something like some of the holes 700-800 yards long, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
It's
and it's not just flat; it's uphill.
So we're not going to see any 300-pound guys, with the suspenders playing this, right?
Yeah, no. I think there's guys that have some issues, maybe fall over. We did see a couple people. There are contestants that do fall and trip because you have to haul. You have to sprint, and you're carrying your clubs. There's no caddy. There's no golf carts.
Oh, wow.
And what's really cool, Jim, is that I'm there as the host running alongside them.
Well, I've seen you ride bikes in GRC, right? You raced bikes in GRC. You're sprinting in golf. I mean, you get all we need to do is get you swimming. You're going to be in a triathlon.
Okay, I'd love to do that.
Yeah,
I got to learn how to. I'm not a good swimmer though. I got to work on that part of my game.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it definitely
it's
sounds
a triple threat.
Yeah. So, how's your golf game come along through all this? Were you anything at golf before this, or how's it coming along?
I mean, I liked it. I was a fan, but I took a golf class back at Miami in college. So, but that was a long time ago, and so I've improved drastically. I have a coach. And I go about twice a week to work on my golf game. I just did chipping last night. So chipping's probably the hardest part of the game for me. Yeah. That's where I struggle most, my short game. Yeah. So just I got to get a little more consistent out there before I can actually play 9 holes. Yeah. We'll put it that way.
My golf game struggles with keeping the ball on the course.
You struggle? Okay.
Yeah, I do 200 yards, but it's out in the bushes and here and there. And, it's.
Oh man, yeah. I've learned from my coach the one thing is you don't have to crush it.
Yeah.
So really working on that swing and that technique and just kind of taking it slow, and it's all in your torso. The power comes from your torso, so you're not using your arms to just slug it, right, like a baseball bat. So which a lot of people tend to do.
Yeah. Well, before we let you go, I do want to make mention because, we talked about it in depth the last time we had you on air, and it's something I know is near and dear to your heart and something I've definitely kind of kept tabs on. But how's everything going with your organization?
It's going. Thank you so much for asking. It's we pretty much it operates on its own. So we sell the bracelets online, and then the proceeds go to Africa to support our malaria initiative on the ground there. So we're still doing the Buy a Bracelet, Save a Life program. And the website's malaikaforlife.org, which Malaika means angel in Swahili. But if you Google Buy a Bracelet, Save a Life, it pops up too. And it's still going. It's small and grassroots and all volunteers. So, we're happy when we sell a bracelet every day, and that's kind of the idea behind it. And, we've made a lot of strides in the fight in malaria, and it really doesn't cost much to provide the necessary treatment. It's less than $1 in our region. So we've been able to make a big impact with a small amount of people, on the ground working for us. So it's been incredible. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. Well, and I know you try and get over there at least every year or two, right?
I do. It's been, unfortunately, I was supposed to go this year, and then I was supposed to go in February, and then I booked the Golf Channel show. So, but I'm hoping to go in December. It's a little bit, it's hard now just because of the work schedule here, and then the state of the nation over there with everything going on. It's definitely a little more risky to go. So I'm hoping to go this December or January with our team, but I want to make sure now. I used to go by myself, and then now I'm a little hesitant. So hopefully I'll get back over there this winter.
Yeah, well, shoot, you'll have to keep us in the loop on that for sure. Because
I'll keep you in the loop. I mean, I love to go as much as possible, but it makes it a lot harder with I'm on the road all the time, and we have a great group of people who are there working with us. But yeah, I do need to get back over there soon. I'm dying to get over there. Yeah. Oh, I see the pictures, and it feels like it's been a long time. So it's been about almost 3 years.
Wow. So
you'll have to come.
You know what? I would love to. I think that would be it'd be awesome. Just an experience. Just to see,
we should do a GRC group trip over there.
Well, and I know my wife's a school teacher. She would absolutely love to go and do something like that too. So I think
it'd be great.
Yeah, I think
it's
off season.
It's a beautiful region. So Tanzania is where we go.
Yeah, that would be cool. To organize a group of GRC. People within the GRC family to go over there. I think it's early enough now. I think we could do it, but I think it'd be an awesome experience.
Yeah, we should look at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Look at putting that together in the off season.
Yeah, for sure. So, going back to GRC, the opener, we're kicking that thing off. What else do you have for us? Tickets on sale right now, right?
Tickets are on sale. Oh, yeah. RedBullGRC.com/tickets. to get your tickets to Fort Lauderdale. We'll be back in Florida for Daytona. So, we're going to be in Florida for actually the bulk of the first part of our season.
Yeah, got Florida, and I'm just looking at the schedule. You got some awesome venues. I know, obviously Detroit, that didn't happen last year. It's happening this year. No. Doubleheader in Detroit, back in LA. Got the finale in Vegas. Some Washington D.C. I mean, the nation's capital. I mean, some awesome venues this year.
Barbados. Yeah. Are you going to go to Barbados?
Let's hope I get the call to do some announcing at Barbados. I would love it. So
yeah, right?
Yeah, no, I know.
You and your wife, come on.
Yeah. That one I don't think I'd be able to go on my own. Some of these she's like, oh yeah. Go. Hey, I'm going to Barbados, and my wife would be like, no, I'm going to that one with you.
Oh, that's a family trip. I think every driver will have his significant other and maybe the kids on that trip. But Detroit doubleheader, that's going to be cool. And then Daytona's a doubleheader. So that's great. Great exposure.
Yeah, and there's actually quite a few doubleheaders. I think is Los Angeles a doubleheader as well, correct?
LA's a doubleheader too.
Yeah, so I think
it's
fun. It packs a lot into one weekend. I mean, you can have these big points battles and big changes. I think we saw that last year in LA. But it really packs a lot into one weekend. Makes it exciting for the teams and the fans and viewers at home. It's just a win all around.
It really does. It's going to be really interesting to see how the teams fare, considering Fort Lauderdale is coming up, and then the week after is X Games, and then shortly after that, we go to Daytona for the doubleheader. So that's a lot of racing in a short period of time for us.
Yeah, there's a stretch there, and it's like, you kick things off, and you kick it off in a big way, with the two Florida rounds, and then you can't, understate X Games. Obviously not a points battle this year, but, the teams, in X Game gold, nothing means more to these guys.
Exactly. Yep.
So, all right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, Kristen. I know, awful busy with this kickoff and everything you got going with the Golf Channel, but as always, you're more than welcome on the show anytime.
Well, thanks for having me on, Jim, and I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Kristen.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right. Great catching up with Kristen Kenney from Red Bull GRC. We're running overtime right now, so we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to have Joe Duncan from Terracross, and it sounds like he may have a special guest, one of the Terracross drivers calling in with him as well. So we'll be back here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it, so when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our RZR vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of RZR vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a RZR 170 like me, take the entire family out in a RZR XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new RZR XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris RZR. Check out the full Polaris RZR lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. Your life demands a tire that provides durability, comfort, and performance, and that's what General Tire delivers for you. From the all-season grip of the Grabber UHP to the comfort and on-road manners of the Grabber HTS to the durability and off-road traction of the Grabber AT2, General has a tire that will help get you where you need to go. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible, because with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound at the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Baja, check. King of the Hammers, check. Crandon, check. The Mint 400, check. Only one wheel company can say they have dominated the deserts and rocks of the Southwest to the mud and carnage of the big house at Crandon, and that company is KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels has won them all with the help of elite drivers like Travis Pastrana, Ricky Johnson, Bryce Menzies, Carl Renazetter, and Lauren Healy, who all rely on the XT Series from KMC Wheels to get them to the finish line and on top of the podium. Check out KMC Wheels and their full line of XT Series wheels at KMCWheels.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels, like no other. Are you looking for a place to push yourself behind the wheel and see how your driving skills stack up? Dirtfish Rally School is that place. Located on 315 acres of pristine automotive playground at the foot of the Cascade Mountains in Snoqualmie, Washington, right outside of Seattle, Dirtfish Rally School is a one-of-a-kind place where everyone from first-time drivers to seasoned professionals like Bucky Lassick and Antoine Lestage can push themselves to their limit. Whether driving the high-performance rally-prepped all-wheel drive Subaru Impreza STI is what you're looking for, or you'd rather hang it all out in the rear-wheel drive Subaru BRZs, Dirtfish Rally School has something for everyone. Classes are available from 2 hours to 3 full days and feature instructors with over 150 years of combined racing experience. Whether you're looking to become the best and get an edge on the competition, or just looking to freshen your skills behind the wheel, Dirtfish Rally School is the place to go. For more information on registering for classes, visit Dirtfish on the web at dirtfish.com, or to check out the latest happenings from Dirtfish, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dirtfish Rally. Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. I'm your host, Jim Beaver, just like I am each and every week. Great show so far. Kicking things off, we had Arie Luyendyk Jr. calling in. Also had Kristen Kenney from Red Bull GRC. But right now, hanging out on the line, it sounds like we've got Joe Duncan from Terracross and possibly Chad Ragland. How's everything going, guys?
Doing well. How are you?
Jim?
Everything is good, my friends. We're getting down and dirty here. We're about a month out from Terracross. Chad, you're going to be racing. Joe, you're going to be promoting. It's going to be a big month, huh?
I'm excited. This is the third year that I'll be competing in Terracross, and it's always an honor to get invited and go do it. Joe puts on a great show. We basically have 3 locations we do all over the country for a combination of 6 total races. And I tell you what, if you're a spectator and like really good wheel-to-wheel action, it's hard to beat Terracross.
Yeah. Well, and Joe, I mean, you guys have been doing this for a few years now. I mean, this series, kind of started out and was a bit low-key a few years ago. And I got to tell you, man, this thing is ramped up in a hurry.
Well, thanks to guys like Chad Ragland and UTV Underground and all the guys over at Walker Evans Racing and all of our great partners, it's really blowing up, and we got some great drivers coming out to compete with us again this year in the Polaris RZR XP 1000s, and we encourage a good time and some rubbing his racing out here, and really excited about this women's class that we have coming up this year. We have some great women racing that's going to come out this year.
Yeah, and talking about that, I know, you and I were talking the other day on the phone, and the women's talent, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, this is just flat blown up. I mean, I was even talking, I don't even know if we should say this on air, but I was talking with Jolene Van Vute last week, and I know she'd like to come out and when Nitro Circus isn't running and run a couple of events. I mean, it's just people know about it, and if you're a woman and you're a racer, I mean, it's like this is the place to be.
Yeah, I think with only really 4 women last year, they put on some great racing, great wheel-to-wheel racing, and the cool thing is that they have, co-drivers in it, and the GoPro cameras are capturing all the action, the yelling, the screaming, the sometimes crying by the men sitting next to them. But it's great racing action, and this year, we're adding 4 or 5
more top-level women, and most of these women don't race against each other. They race in different series or different, sometimes different even forms of racing. But this year, we're putting some talent out on that course in the women's class, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, and Chad, I mean, you can speak to the men's class because obviously, you're a veteran of this series. But I've had a lot of people, when I made the announcement that I was running Terracross, going, oh, well, why are you, why are you taking a step back? And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, this isn't exactly a step back. I'm like, you look at the talent that's in this class, and you and I have similar backgrounds from the desert racing side of things, but this is a totally different animal, and it's not like it's an easy win.
No, certainly not. And listen, I think if you're a racer at heart, and you have an opportunity to race something that's, going to be at a competitive level, there is no stepping back. I mean, that's not fair to say the guys that race NASCAR when they go out to a dirt track, somewhere that they're stepping back. I don't think that's fair at all. It's just another form of racing. And, the thing I like about it is it's kind of what you guys were alluding to with the women. Not only do you have a few guys maybe that race desert like I do, and that's primarily my background, but you also have guys that are from a hardcore snowmobile background or a hardcore, freestyle background. And you really have so many different types of, athletes out there that I think it makes the series really competitive. And from everything else I've done, it's not exactly like short course. It's not exactly like, desert racing, of course, but it's kind of a combination and maybe something more like motocross. And, I don't know, the venues that we race at and the people that we race at, it's a really good time. It's really competitive. All the vehicles are exactly the same. Nobody has an advantage, and it's just really out there, who can be the smartest, be the fastest, and keep their vehicle together.
Yeah, well, and I know me from personal experience that I've driven a ton of razors in my life, and I've raced UTVs in the past in the desert, and things like that. But going up to Crested Butte and getting the opportunity to do the winter snow, the winter Terracross, it was, to me, I got out of it, and everybody's like, "How was it?" And I'm like, I've driven rally cars. I've driven every off-road vehicle imaginable. I'm like, this is probably the most fun I've ever had in a vehicle. Not to say I'm going to trade the trophy truck anytime soon, but just the sheer fun factor. I mean, it was fun to be behind the wheel and to bang doors, Well,
you know how it is. I mean, anytime you get into a vehicle, like a trophy truck or, maybe like a Pro 2 or Pro 4, the dollars just start counting away each minute that you're out there, and it's just super expensive. And I don't care who you are, that takes away some of the fun if you're self-funding it, which, believe it or not, most of those trophy truck teams are. They're self-funded. So to be able to get in a vehicle that holds together so well is so much fun. And, the courses that Joe put together, we're talking big gaps. We're talking, we've got to launch these things. We have to clear some of these obstacles. It's a challenge. It really is. And it's fun. And, I don't, listen, go talk to RJ or someone that's done lots of stuff, lots of different types of racing, who's a young kid, not fear much. He'll tell you, hey, it's really exciting. What we're doing with these vehicles is absolutely pushing them to the limits. And, it's a good show for everybody.
Yeah. Well, and Joe, I think, you can allude to that, but I mean, a lot of these UTV racing series you see, and I mean, Best in the Desert, I mean, we're talking high dollar exotic UTVs. I mean, the thing that I love about Terracross is, you see these crazy gap jumps. I mean, you see these tire jumps. I mean, log jumps. It's just, the sky's the limit on what you guys throw at the Terracross racers. But these racers, or razors, I mean, 95% of them are exactly what you get from the dealer showroom.
Yeah, actually,
yeah, I'd say almost 100%.
They're exactly the same, and the best part is, we received these. They're actually just with Polaris last week, and all of our machines are in the process of being shipped right now to NCY Motorsports and Ivan Stewart Motorsports out in San Diego, and then to K2 Racing here in Minnesota to be prepped. And the funny thing is, our prep is, we do Holtz, Lone Star, and Cageworks radius rods. We do PRP seat belts and seats, and Pro Armor seat belts and seats. And we do bumpers, Nerf bars, and that is pretty much, other than the graphics package and an aluminum roof, that's what we do to these machines. So basically, they're off the showroom floor. The motor, the transmissions, the axles, all of that stuff that we do is a stock Polaris Razor XP. that's how we're able to do this ride and drive program and keep it as cost effective as we do. Because if you were to do this in a desert car or in one of the other racing series, you're talking $35,000 to $50,000 to build those cars, and in some cases, I just saw a couple of desert cars for sale on the internet. One was like $68,000, and I know I can't afford that. I'm a lowly race organizer, so I can't afford something like that. And I don't know how some of these guys do it, but that's some big money. And then you top it off and you go to 8, 9, 10 events, and the travel is quite a distance. And then you have a truck and a trailer and all these other things. And again, the starting point behind Terracross was how do we make Terracross entertainment television, make it affordable and make it fun, like Chad said. And this is how Chad flies into the race, he races, and he flies out. Chad helps with a lot of other things that we do with the series as well. But when it's all said and done, there's no trucks and trailers. There's not even running to the gas station to get fuel because we provide it all. It's all part of the package when you come racing. So you literally fly in, you come and race, you fly out, and it's on national CBS Sports Network television. Where can you find a program on television, for those kind of pricing? You just can't do it. And again, it goes back to all those great partners that Terracross has to be able to make this happen. And then they top it off with these amazing athletes, coming to the table and we make it fun, we make it enjoyable, and we make it easy. Jason Ellis, coming out and had a little bit of a hard start to his Terracross career, but now he's pumped. I know he was on your show a few weeks back, and he's ready to get after it. And I saw him, finish in the top 7 or something in a race he was just in. So now you add another element to the competitiveness with guys that maybe weren't competitive last year. It's going to be a fun season in that men's class as well as the women's class.
Yeah, I definitely think it is, and I'm seeing an entry list of drivers and talking with guys who are racing, and it's a stacked field. I mean, it's a who's who of not only motorsports but and off road, but action sports. I mean, it's going to be competitive. I mean, I think that's what's exciting. And then the venues, I mean, you look at Del Mar and what you guys had last year. I mean, it's pretty over the top. I mean, how is it to drive these courses, Chad?
Well, you bring up a great point because Del Mar, the season opener, was new last year, and what a cool spot. I mean, not only do you have all the, the heritage of that facility, but you've got a great crowd. So, basically, as soon as you walk into Del Mar, you just make a right turn and you come into the whole facility, the horse facility where we race, and it's perfect. It's special dirt. We actually race inside the stadium, and then we come out kind of like they do at the Las Vegas, last Supercross race where you race mostly inside the stadium, and then we do a section outside. We've got different dirt on both. We even have a little bit of pavement. We have a huge big gap we have to clear as we come into the arena. So it's just trick, and to have that be the very first race, some of these guys new to the vehicle, some of them veterans, but to throw everybody out there and just let's go for it, it's awesome. And I think the tracks themselves are, as big a part as anything else is in this series.
Yeah. Well, and Joe, talking about the tracks, obviously we've got Del Mar on tap, and then, there's great built-in audience there. You go to Heydays, which is, one of the, if not the biggest snowmobile kind of festival of the year up there in Minnesota. And then Charlotte, I believe it's tied in with the Charlotte Auto Fair, which is one of the biggest auto fairs in the country. I mean, talk about a huge built-in audience.
Yeah, that's the business model here. We go to events that already exist for multiple reasons. One, a built-in crowd, and it's not a crowd that's maybe 100% an off-road motorsports fan or 100% a UTV fan. So we actually bring to the table the potential for sales, not only for Polaris and the Razors, but also for all of our partners. Bringing on new potential customers and new potential revenue into this $2 billion industry. So that's a key element, as well as almost any race series or race circuit, you're out there spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases, or at least 50 to 100,000 to go advertise and market to get people there, and then you have to hope they show up, or you have to hope that the weather's good, that they're going to be there. And in the end, you're probably, it's a wash is your goal, but in the end, you're probably losing money on that aspect. Well, we take our funds and we turn it into promoting the drivers and promoting the partners instead of trying to get people there, because the people are already on site at these great events. And you talk about Charlotte Motor Speedway, other than Indy, there's no other, higher motorsports facility out there in the race world for sure. Has every element from NHRA to off-road trucks to obviously NASCAR. And then you go to Heydays, you have, one of the largest power sports shows, definitely the largest snowmobile, preseason event there. And there's, 45,000 plus people that are all power sports enthusiasts, whether it's a snowmobile or it's a UTV or an ATV. That's what those people and the manufacturers and the vendors are there for. And then you throw Terracross in the middle of that thing, and it sure becomes a crazy little element that a lot of people are watching, not only on site but as well as the television show. And then, like Chad was saying, San Diego is so unique and so cool, and just a fun venue. And the people there at San Diego Fair to work with, they just bust their butt for us and really pull something off. And we build that track in one night because they have other events that go there, and then we tear it down the night we're done because they have their next shows and next entertainment for the fair. So it's a very challenging event to do, and our crew just knocks it out of the park. I mean, they just, from building of the course to the setup and tear down, our Terracross crew just does an amazing job.
Yeah, well,
I got to say something else. Sorry, don't mean to interrupt, but speaking of Heydays, because that was probably I don't know, all the courses are great, but Heydays is pretty unique because we're literally, the Terracross race is in the middle of this. Just think of a huge farm, huge ranch in Minnesota that attracts 50,000 people per day, and this is over a 3-day weekend. So you're getting 150,000 people come out to this event. The Terracross, it's like cage fighting because our whole entire track is inside this big fenced area. So, and when I say big, I mean big enough where we can just barely fit, a really neat track in the center of this thing. And then we have these bleachers all around this thing where we didn't know if we were going to get anyone. Because they're there for snowmobile, they're there for swap meets, they're there for all these other activities that they've been doing for however many years the event's been on. So Terracross being new, we didn't know if anyone would enjoy it. Turns out it's one of the the most popular events there because again the show is so good and it's neat. We're literally thrown in this thing. We've got fences. We can't travel outside the thing, and sometimes there's 18 of us on the track at once, and it's gnarly. It's great. It's really fun. I love that track.
Yeah. Well, and how has this been? Obviously, you not only are an off-road driver, but you've got a UTV business, Chad. I mean, how has Terracross been to help grow your business as far as marketing wise?
But fantastic. I think that's a key element. CageWorks is a company that I have, and we've been fortunate that the Terracross has been there so that we can kind of, provide product and cross-promote, and it's worked very, very well. I'm fortunate. And, again, I think the whole UTV market for me was just something that I naturally migrated to. I didn't have a big plan in my head that this is what I wanted to do or where I was going to go with my life right now, but I saw some opportunities, and, man, I tell you what, I've been more than happy with my decision to do it in every step of the way. And, again, Terracross has definitely been a part of that. It not only helps me promote myself as a driver, it helps me improve my skills because it's just more seat time, but it also is a great way to promote my product.
Yeah. Well, and Joe, going back, we kind of got to wind things down here, but, going back, I know, big TV package, CBS Sports. Can you tell us a little bit more about the TV? Obviously, we run 3 doubleheader events, so 6 total rounds. Each one is aired on CBS Sports, correct?
Correct. We have 2 one-hour shows per event. So there's 6 total 1-hour shows plus re-airs. Last year, I think each show aired almost 5 times per show. And we just received our San Diego air dates, Sunday, July 19th, 6 p.m. What a great airtime for us. And then our second show from Del Mar is Sunday, July 26th at 6 p.m. All of this can be found at terracrossracing.com and on Terracross Championship on Facebook. But the air dates and times are great. CBS Sports Network putting out a great product for us, and our production crew, Echo Entertainment, produces one heck of a high quality show, and we get nothing but compliments on the great show.
Yeah, well, and I think all the back episodes right now can be found on YouTube on Terracross channel, correct?
Yes, they can. All shows to date can be found on there, as well as our promo videos and some other things that are up on the YouTube channel.
Awesome. Well, guys, I mean, I know, over the next month we'll have to get you guys back on, pretty regularly as we're about a month out from this opener in San Diego. I know I'm pumped to get behind the wheel of one of these. I know Chad's pumped. I mean, it's going to be exciting. Is the track, before we let you go, Joe, track going to be any different than last year? Going to be change it up a bit?
We do have some tweaks that we're working on the track right now. I mean, the main track layout was still good last year for the first year. The main track layout is going to stay the same. We're working on some passing features for two of the lanes that we had a problem with last year. We've got some more barriers coming, so to protect from guys crossing into other lanes, and working on some start options as well. But the main layout was great last year. We had some of the best racing with that concrete floor options and the crossover jump. And we have the Mystic tire section last year, Mystic Lubricants tire section. We had guys standing straight up on the end. We had Colton Moore, not on purpose like he normally does a backflip, but Colton Moore did a backflip on a razor, landed on top of the HMK Andy Ives razor, and we had to go over and roll them back over. But that tire section, that just separates everybody, and such an awesome part of our course.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I got to let you guys go, but I appreciate you, taking the time to call in. We'll definitely, get you guys on, as we get closer, and stoked to be a part of this series. Stoked to bring Terracross Radio out, and should be a fun year.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Us.
All right. Well, thanks, Joe. Thanks, Chad. We'll talk soon, my friends.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, that was Joe Duncan with Terracross Racing, Chad Ragland with Cageworks, also a trophy truck guy, and running in the Terracross Championship. Always fun to catch up with them. Good people, and parts pillars of the off-road community. But we got to take a short break, and when we come back, Ami Houde's going to be holding it down for the last half hour here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR.
Hey, I'm RJ Anderson, factory Polaris driver, and I drive Polaris because it's the most capable, race-ready off-road vehicle on the market.
When R.J. Anderson wanted to set a world record for the longest UTV jump in history, not once but twice, what company did he trust? Polaris and their championship-winning RZR XP 1000. R.J. is a UTV champion behind the wheel of Polaris vehicles, and he exclusively trusts the Polaris RZRs to bring him race wins and championships against some of the toughest off-road racers in the world. The same Polaris RZRs RJ has won championships in, set world records in, and conquered the Wall of Death in XP1K2 are available to you at your local Polaris dealer. Take the advice of world record holder RJ Anderson and visit Polaris on the web at Polaris.com to see the full lineup of Polaris RZR vehicles, or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
Come to the island and rip it up this summer. Wakeboard Island. It's a skate park on water at Blue Water Resort and Casino. Check out the 2-tower cable system that pulls you and your board over the water. No boats to watch out for, no fumes. Wakeboard Island is open to all skill levels with an open center section for beginners. And for trick riders, a double side kicker in a 60-foot flat box. Wakeboard Island, the best ride this side of the Rockies. Adjacent to the River's Edge Cantina at Blue Water Resort and Casino on the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona.
Baja, check. King of the Hammers, check. Crandon, check. The Mint 400, check. Only one wheel company can say they have dominated the deserts and rocks of the Southwest to the mud and carnage of the big house at Crandon, and that company is KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels has won them all with the help of elite drivers like Travis Pastrana, Ricky Johnson, Bryce Menzies, Carl Renazetter, and Lauren Healy, who all rely on the XD Series from KMC Wheels to get them to the finish line and on top of the podium. Check out KMC Wheels and their full line of XD Series wheels at KMCWheels.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels, like no other. Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm your host, Jim Beaver. Been a great show so far. Arie Luyendyk Jr. We've had Joe Duncan and Chad Ragland, one of the Terracross racers and Terracross promoter on air. My friend Kristen Kenney from Red Bull GRC and NBC. And right now, to hold down the last half hour, my good friend and my co-host, Ami Houde. How do you say your last name?
It's Ami Houde. Like I'm from the hood. I mean, you guys, no one knows how to say it right. Anywhere I go, if a fan comes up to me or even like half of my sponsors are like, how do you say your last name? But it's French, so that's why. It's pronounced Hood, but spelled really ridiculous, so no one knows how to pronounce it. So, yeah.
I don't know why they have such a hard time with it. Like, I don't know. I figured it out like from day one. It wasn't that big of a deal, but I guess people are overthinking it, huh?
Well, I mean, the OU kind of throws people off, so they want to say Houde, and then the E at the end. Yeah, I don't know. Those French Canadians don't know how to spell anything. So,
so I take it you don't associate with the French Canadians. You're what, a Western Canadian? I don't know. How's that work?
I'm a Prairie Canadian, so I'm very much English. I know a little bit of French. I know enough to impress people, like most Americans, like a little bit. But all I really know how to say, and it's funny because like I go up to American and they're like, "Oh, you're Canadian. Do you speak French?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, est-ce que je peux aller aux toilettes s'il vous plaît?" And like the French language sounds really nice, so it sounds kind of cool. And they're like, "Oh, sweet." But the only thing I know how to say, and what I just said is, "Where can I go to the bathroom?" That's like the only thing I know how to say is, "Where's the washroom?"
Well, it's funny because I had a roommate from Winnipeg when I was at Crested Butte hosting the Ultimate Snowmobiler up there, and he was like, "Them damn Quebecers," and he was like, "Them damn Quebecers, they're not Canadian. I wish they'd just have their own country." You know, it was funny hearing him because he's just like, he was over it. I don't like them Quebecers.
Well, and you know, Quebec is kind of like the French. I mean, like the country in France, like they think of themselves as very superior and kind of as their own like country within Canada. But actually, funny story, if you go to Montreal, it's a lot different because it's really touristy. But I was racing in, I don't even know the name of the track. It was so long ago. But there's a Canadian National in Quebec. And obviously all the tracks are kind of in the rural areas. Yeah. So we stayed at some hotel like out of town in the boonies, and when we like got up really early on Saturday, we went for breakfast. Well, we didn't speak French, and they wouldn't even come and wait on us in the restaurant. So that kind of goes to show, like, my first initial reaction and, you know, kind of my overall take on the French Canadians. And I'm Canadian, and I didn't even have a good experience with them. But, yeah, no, they wouldn't even come over to our table. They would not serve us because we did not speak French. And that's kind of the vibe you get when you're out in the rural areas of Quebec is, you know, French is the way or the highway. If you don't speak French, I mean, they completely ignore you.
Wow. That's that's crazy. Wow.
But it is a little bit different because when I was in France, maybe it's just because of the fact that I'm Canadian, but all the French people were like, "Oh, Amy, hello." Like the French in France are awesome. They're really, really cool and really nice. So, yeah, you know, it kind of sucks. Gets a little bit of a bad rap here, the French Canadians, but yeah, no, they love their French, and they think French is the almighty superior language of the world, apparently.
So tell us about your weekend. I hear you got your old lady card this weekend, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, this weekend was awesome. It was kind of a bit of a milestone. So I raced women. So usually I race women's in 250B. But this is like super fast track. When I saw that there was like 40-some 250Bs on there, I'm just like, man, you know, maybe for my first race of the year, I don't really want to race a super stacked B class. And I kind of lucked out because there was actually a really bad crash, and a good friend of mine had to actually get airlifted from the hospital, and I'm just well-wishing my buddy Jeremy Patterson. I hear he's doing okay, and he's in stable condition, but, you know, it's just kind of scary when you see your friends crash and, you know, they're not in the best shape. So hopefully he recovers soon. But so I'm like, okay, what else can I race? I'm like, there's plus 25. Like, we got rid of the plus 25 class. We used to have one, and then we got rid of it, and there was only Vet Master, Vet Junior, which is plus 30, and then a plus 40, and I think we actually even had a plus 50 class too. So I'm like, sweet, I'm going to totally race plus 25, and they have payout. So, I mean, us women, we don't even get payout, and we're like the pro women of Manitoba. Super dumb. But I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make some money. Even, like, to get my money back, it would be pretty cool. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to sign up for plus 25. Well, my women's race happened to be, actually my plus 25 race happened to be directly after the women's race. So I had to go and do my women's moto, pull right back onto the line, and the 30-second board was up, and they had to hold it for me, and then I had to go out and race again. So, and then I realized that all the old pros who finally, you know, are 30 or 25 decide that they want to race plus 25 too. So half the class was pros, and then half the class was, you know, regular Joe. So I had a couple of top pros in there that I had to race against. So it was pretty challenging. I mean, pulling off of your race and then having to go back on again, like it was 100 degrees outside. It was a super hot weekend, so I was dying. And, no, I champed it out. I was pretty impressed with myself. But the coolest thing about it was that there is a double gate drop with the plus 25s and the plus 40s. So the plus 40s went after the plus 25s, and my dad races plus 40. So for the first time in ever, we actually technically got to race together. I hate to say it, but even though he started behind me, he caught and passed me and kind of like flew by me. So that kind of sucks, but no, it was really cool. It was awesome. And probably my best race of the day was my last moto, because for some reason I just like found that extra gear I had within me, and I rode really good in my last moto. So I was pumped. I walked away with a win in women's class and a 6 overall in plus 25. I didn't make the payout, but now I have a little bit of a benchmark in how I'm going to do for the rest of the year. And then I think next weekend I'll race 250B too, but I think 3 motos for my first race was going to be a little too gnarly for me. But I had blast. It was awesome. It was a good time.
Yeah.
The best thing about it is here there are 4 girls, huge trailer, and, you know, a big old truck, and there's 4 girls, and we head to the races all together. I mean, you don't see that very often. I mean, motocross is obviously a male-dominated sport, but, you know, I got such a good kind of rat pack of women here that I race with, and we always go together. We throw a bonfire pit in there. And we have a huge fire. We cook a huge meal, but then we always got, like, our girly music blasting and dirt bikes. It's just super cool. It's a really fun event. And, it makes the weekend going with all my friends. And my family, my mom and dad come out the next day. They bring the motorhome, too. So, it's just a big friends, family affair. Can't go wrong. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're talking about a rat pack. You posted up some pictures of you guys traveling. I'm like, oh, my gosh. I'm like...
Yeah.
That's trouble if I've ever seen it.
It's awesome. Like, our friend has a super big trailer. So we have 3 tables. We have one for all of our food. So we put all of our food. We usually make, like, fruit and veggie trays, and we have that in the trailer there. One is for all of our makeup and hair accessories. So we have, like typical chips, obviously. So we have a whole, like, table in the trailer that we put all of our makeup and our, like, straighteners and everything. It's so ridiculous. I mean, we're at a motocross track, but we still like to look good, okay? And then we have a whole other table that's like all of our clothes and all of our bags, and it just looks like girl closet barfed all over the trailer. It's so funny, but I know it's good. And then we have we have a big like sound system, so we're always blasting music, and I mean, there's a mix between some like punk rock and then Taylor Swift. So it's a good vibe.
How do you go from punk rock to Taylor Swift?
I don't know. I mean, don't you totally listen to Taylor Swift to pump you up for a race? I mean, come on. Shake it off.
I'm more of a AC/DC guy or something to maybe a little Guns N' Roses mixed in. I don't know. If I really want to get amped, I throw in some Pantera where you can't understand what they're saying. It's rah, 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 rah. But, yeah.
We listen to that, too. Like, me and Ashley are more like the punk rock, and then the other 2 girls are a little bit more on the poppy side, but we just throw it all in there, and it's just some smorgasbord of awesomeness.
Yeah.
And everybody comes around. Like, at the end of the day, when we have, like, time for bonfire or, you know, even dinner and stuff, like, everyone is around our trailer because, like, you know, we're having a good time and we're having fun, and that's what, you know, at the end of the day it's all about, and that's what keeps you going to the races is having fun with your friends and your family. And, you know, there's so many people out there, and that's how I used to be as well, is it, you know, pressure, and then you see all these kids who show up for a year, and, you know, the pressure gets to them, or they just don't have a good time, and then they disappear. You know, I finally learned to have fun and enjoy racing and, you know, doing it with your friends and having a good group of people with you that share similar interests, and it's great. Like, we're driving home planning next weekend already. Like, that's what my summer's about, is racing every weekend, loading up Friday. I try to get off work as soon as possible, and, you know, we all meet up and load up and head on the road. It's definitely a lifestyle, and it's probably the coolest thing ever. I mean, I hope I can keep doing this for years to come.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, that's you hit the nail on the head there. It's about having fun and relaxing. I mean, you know, you've seen me in my element. I mean, at the Mint 400, you know, I was, you know, I had a race going that weekend, and, you know, but at the end of the day, I didn't, you know, do anything stupid, but, you know, still had a good time with you and Ronnie and, you know, everybody else that was there. And I think that's the thing, you know, if you're sitting there in a hotel room, you can totally overanalyze things and you know, play mind games with yourself. And I think sometimes it's better off to have a little fun and, you know, let that dissipate where your mind isn't actually on the race. I mean, there comes a time when you need to be focused on the race, but I think, you know, if you're doing that a day beforehand or something like that, you're just going to be junk because your mind's going to be out there.
You know, I completely agree. It's funny because you know, everyone kind of rags on me because I've never won a Canadian championship and I've never done this and whatever. You know, I had my chance. I've done it for a couple years where I've gone on the road, you know, threw everything into it, and I was going to race the nationals. It was that pressure. You know, I was there to race. I wasn't really there to have a good time and have fun. Like, my main goal was to race. So I had all this pressure build up. And when I lined up on the line, like, I was just it was such a head case. I was, you know, playing this mental game where if I didn't do good, it was the end of the world. And ultimately that led to kind of, you know, my demise where I wouldn't do good because it was just, I had way too much pressure on myself. And now that I show up to the races, I'm not going to lie, totally have a drink, you know, the night before. We sitting around the bonfire. We have a couple little, like, coolers, whatever, you know, no hard alcohol, but we pop some girly drinks, you know, fingers up, not going to lie. But, you know, we just enjoy it. And then when we get up on the line, I'm with all my friends, and we're kind of, like, laughing and giggling, and I even posted a photo today, like, you know, it's just no pressure, and I ride 10 times better. I have the best race when I'm, you know, super calm and chill on the line, opposed to when I'm sitting there thinking to myself, if I don't win, like, you know, everyone here is going to be disappointed. I'm going to be disappointed. I'm at this event to win, and it all falls apart. So having, you know, a different mindset, and at the end of the day, like, you know, sports are about having fun. It's completely different when, obviously, if you're a pro and this is your living and you have a whole team and a whole, you know, huge brand of sponsors behind you that you have to basically win for as well. But, you know, if you're someone out there chasing a dream, kind of starting at ground zero and, you know, want to have a long lifetime in a sport, whether that be motocross or soccer or, you know, really anything, you got to have fun or you're going to quit and you're just not going to enjoy doing it and you won't have longevity at all.
Yeah.
So,
well,
and I learned the hard way. I learned it by not having fun, wanting to quit, wanting to take time off. And now it's not like that at all. It's like, okay, next weekend, let's go. Friday, bring it on.
Yeah. Well, how many Groms have you seen come up and, you know, their parents are at the track every weekend and you got to win, you know, you're going to be the next Ryan Villapoto, you got to win. And by the time the kids turn 15, 16, they're done. They're like, I'm over it. You know, they're just totally drained and done.
Yeah, I had this conversation actually with a parent this weekend. It's funny. We talked about the same thing. As soon as those kids hit 18 and they're not under their parents' control anymore, they're gone. I mean, they'll move out of the house. They'll, you know, pack up all their crap and like, no, I'm done. Sorry, I don't have to listen to you, Dad, anymore. I don't have to listen to you telling me that, you know, because I never won, I had a terrible weekend. Like, I see that all the time. Kids getting ragged on by their parents for not finishing within the top 5. I will always remember to this day, and at my motocross schools, I always talk about this with the parents. There's not one race I ever raced where I did absolutely terrible, and my dad told me, well, did you have fun? Like, I mean, this is an individual sport. I put enough pressure on myself. If I knew I rode like crap, like, I don't need no one else telling me I rode like crap. I know I rode like crap. My dad always instilled that, well, as long as you just had fun, like, you know, who cares? You had a terrible race. You might be having a bad weekend. Go out there and just have fun. Go out there and have fun. And then your attitude changes. And maybe you actually end up having a better race, you know, your last moto of the day, because you're not worried about riding like crap. You're worried about having fun. So, you know, it's just, it's how you look at it. It's just like life. It's how you look at it. How you look at a shitty situation. You know, your attitude can change the outlook on anything. So.
You know, and you know, that's why you and I have always clicked, you know, because we're definitely, you know, on the same page as far as life goes about competing. I mean, we both dabble in the media side and things like that. And I know, you know, you're kind of like me. I mean, I've got a group of haters out there that don't like me. You know, you've got a group of haters out there that don't like you, and they think that
really,
yeah,
you guys don't all love me. Come on.
Well, we've had this conversation before, but, you know, they're out there and they talk crap because we're out there, and maybe you have a bad day and don't win. And immediately, you know, there's certain websites that are going to fire up and people are going to be like, they suck, this and that. And they're like, you know, I'm like, you know what? I just spent a weekend racing a, you know, $250,000 trophy truck. I had a crummy weekend. I didn't finish. I did whatever. But you know what? My weekend still beat yours behind the keyboard.
Yeah, so it is.
You know, it's so, yeah, it's
other people who, you know, are out there smiling, even if they're sucking. Like, I hate to say it. I mean, most people out there, I mean, I'm obviously giving a little bit of, like, life lesson here and stuff, but the only reason, and I tell this to a lot of, like, girls that I mentor and people who, you know, ask me for advice and stuff, and it's funny, because just through social media and Facebook, I have a lot of little girls, you know, and this is how impactful social media is by just sharing your story, how so many people can relate. But I have other girls, you know, contact me and connect with me and say, hey, listen, like, I'm getting bullied by such and such, or this girl said such and such about me. I know you have dealt with this before. I've seen people come at you, you know, with, you know, that you're a bad influence, or, oh, you do this wrong, but you're still smiling at the end of the day, and it looks like it doesn't get you. How do I do that too? Honestly, you can't worry about that crap. There's a good saying that says you can be the tastiest and the ripest peach in the world, but someone out there hates peaches. You know, you can't please everybody. People out there are just going to hate you because, you know, you're doing something that they wish they could do, or, you know, your outlook on life is something they wish they had and they just can't seem to muster it up themselves. So they're going to hate you for it. But, you know, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is whether you're having a good time or not. So.
Yep. And that's totally it, you know, and you know, it's funny because my daughter actually, you know, she's 6. She's got a little Honda 50 dirt bike, and she likes to shred on it. And, you know, she's still got the training wheels on it, but she's getting better. And, you know, I've put her behind the wheel of Polaris Razors and things like that. She's actually a good, you know, rider and driver for age, you know what I mean? And she goes, Dad, can I race someday? And I'm like, absolutely. You know, but it's one of those things like, you know, I want her to have the Ami Houde outlook on life, you know what I mean? And I'm going to be one of those dads, like, if you want to go race this weekend, yeah, you can go race, but win or lose, you know, I really don't care. You know, if you end up being good, great. If not, as long as you had fun, it's, you know, that's all that matters.
Yeah. I mean, for me right now, like, I'm not a mother, and eventually I want to be. I know I'm just a big kid myself. I can't even imagine having a kid anytime soon, but I mean, the day is coming. But it's funny because I'm like, crap, like, what's going to happen if my kid, you know, if I have a little boy or a little girl and they want to do dance, or they want to be, you know, a professional fisherman or something, like, what if they don't like dirt bikes? I don't even know what I would do, because personally, like, my life is racing. I was brought up in a racing family. Everything that encompasses my life has to do with racing. Like, it sounds super, like, redneck, but it is. I love racing, and I really want a little family that races and stuff. But, you know, when I was a kid, I did everything. I did dance. I did gymnastics. I did swimming. My mom put me in, like, freaking, we talked about this last week, but rollerblading. I did everything. So my dad was probably like, oh, here we go. Like, you know, and when I was younger, I sometimes went to the track. I didn't go every weekend. And back in the day, there actually wasn't a 50 class. So I didn't even race. I just putted around the track and had a good time. And there was no pressure. It was never like, you have to come to the races, you have to ride, you know, go, go, go. It's when I wanted to, on my own terms, at my own speed. And if I asked my dad for help, he would help me. But it was never a pressure. And I think that's now why, to this day, I still race, because I was never pressured into it. I was never, you know, kind of forced to do something as a kid. And, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a big risk, hoping that your kids are involved, or, you know, have the similar interests as you. But I guess that's kind of the risk you got to take. But if you pressure them, they're never going to like it. So. Yeah,
totally agreed. So I guess we ought to hit on these results real quick before we let you go. You know, Glen Helen, you know, it's iconic venue. Eli Tomac again, 1-1. The guy's yep. Dialed.
Yeah, no, I mean, that guy's going to have this season wrapped up pretty soon. And there's been a lot of talk on a lot of the social media sites and stuff, too, that this outdoor championship is his. If he rides consistent and doesn't make any mistakes, which completely looks like that's how it's going so far, you know, he's going to have it wrapped up really soon. I'm really impressed, though, with Justin Barsha going 2-4. That's really good for him. But we have to give it again to Weston Pike. And Phil Nicoletti, I think he finished third the first moto. Yep. I mean, this guy's a privateer. He has no support. He gets a little bit from JGR, but, I mean, he's not a full factory rider. And he finished third. Yeah. In 450. That is a huge, huge accomplishment. I mean, this guy's out there. He has so much to prove. I remember Phil back in the day. He used to show up in Walton at one of the Canadian Nationals and cleaned up and beat all the Canadians, and everyone says, he's the guy to watch. And, you know, it's really hard for these privateer 450 riders especially. I mean, there's a lot of money that goes involved in all this stuff. And, you know, he's finally being able to put his name out there. I know he had a good Supercross season, but finishing third overall in an outdoors 450 as a privateer, I think, is really going to do a lot for his confidence and hopefully get some teams noticing him for sure. So I would really like to see him get a full factory ride with JGR, definitely.
Yeah. And, you know, looking at 250s, Marvin, you know, he's, you know, pretty dominant this weekend. I think, you know, it looks like he's pretty dialed for outdoors.
Yeah, I know. Marvin's still really consistent, really, really smooth. I thought we'd see a little bit better results from his teammate Ryan Dungey, but that just goes to show how different the Supercross and outdoor series and terrain really is, it shakes things up a lot. So, but I'm really, really bummed out about Adam Cinzarello. Like, come on, buddy, put it all together. Like, I bet $5 on him this weekend, and I lost drastically. So, I don't know what's going on with him. I checked his social media, though, and it's really cool. I mean, he has such a positive outlook on everything. He said, sorry, guys, couldn't put it all together this weekend, but I still had fun. It's better to be out there than not. So it's really nice to see people with that type of attitude. I really applaud him for that. He has a good outlook on life as well, so that will only help him get far. But hopefully he'll be able to put a little bit more together. But great ride from Justin Hill, Jesse Nelson, and Joey Savacci, too. I mean, that guy, he's kind of still a little bit of a rookie, Joey, and he had, I think, a 3rd and a 7th overall, so good for him. But got to shout it out to Alex Martin, 2nd place in the second moto, beating his brother. Jeremy had a terrible race. Don't really care about that. But Alex, killing it. Good for him. Alex Martin really, really deserves it. That guy has been at it for a long time. So, that just goes to show how long it takes to climb your way to the top. And, he's been really, really persistent. Like, there's been a lot of times I thought Alex was going to hang up his boots. I mean, his younger brother came out and cleaned him up the last couple of years. And that must be hard on the ego for your younger brother to, be faster than you. But, no, Alex was able to put it together. So good for him. I'm excited for next weekend. It should be really good. I would probably go safe bet to say that Eli Tomac is going to go 1-1.
Yeah.
And I'd really like to see Marvin, stay consistent and go 1-1. I don't know if maybe Jeremy might be back with a vengeance, but hopefully Adam Cinzarello can finish on the box next weekend too. So I'd really like to see him pull it all together.
Yeah, I think Adam, he's still rebounding back. I think this is.
Yeah.
I think the big thing for him is just stay healthy through outdoors.
Yeah.
I think he really has his sights set on a Supercross championship, and I think he just needs to stay healthy. This outdoor season.
I really thought he was going to be actually a more dominant outdoor rider than Supercross. So I was completely wrong. So yeah, it's just about staying healthy, and he hasn't had a lot of luck with finishing a full season. So he's got to stay on that bike and stay consistent. So
yeah,
I'm rooting for you, buddy.
Yeah, right. I think a lot of people are. But appreciate you taking the time, Amy. As always, always fun to cap off the show with you, and we'll definitely talk soon.
Awesome. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks a lot, Amy.
You guys have a good weekend. Bye.
Yeah, you too. Bye. All right, that was Ami Houde capping things off here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Like we said, Eli Tomac taking home that 450 win, 250 win went to Marvin Muskeen. Quick, give you a rundown of some results over the weekend. I know, it's my apologies for. My apologies for the lack of results, but we've had a ton of guests. But WRX, this coverage brought to you by Dirtfish. Want to give a shout-out to Petter Solberg, who took home yet another win. Matthias Ekstrom finishing up in 2nd. Johan Kristoffersen 3rd. Bakkerud in 4th. Nittis in 5th. And Guy Wilkes, name we don't see very often up there, 6th place in the final of WRX point standings right now. Petter Solberg, solid lead over Kristoffersen, followed up by Bakkerud Blue. Andreas Bakkerud sitting there in 3rd. That was Lydden Hill, man, one of my favorite WRX rounds, and I guess the birth of Rallycross as we know it. Latvala, he took home that WRC victory at Portugal. We had Sebastian Ogier in 2nd, Mikkelsen 3rd, Meek 4th, Tanek in 5th. Your current championship standings in WRC after that round is Sebastian up front. We got Mikkelsen in 2nd, Mads Osberg in 3rd, Chris Meek in 4th, Jari Matti Latvala in 5th. Got to give a shout-out to Nasser Alatia. He was your WRC2 victor on the weekend. Next up is Italy, WRC in Italy for the World Rally Championship. And then right now, some Polaris Razor UTV results. We had the Works Championship happening up there, Cedar City, Utah. RJ Anderson taking that victory. Cody Bradbury in second. Ryan Piplick in third. Bo Bear in fourth. And Matthew Hannock finishing up in fifth. That was an all Polaris Razor podium there. Pro Stock, looking at that result real quick for Pro Stock UTV. It was Cody Rowley in first, Jacob Shaw, Ryan Holtz, another Polaris all three podium in Pro Stock, and side-by-side unlimited. Looking at those results real quick, Mitch Guthrie, Ray Bullock, and Mickey Thomas, Polaris 1, 2, 3 in Works. So, those results brought to you by Polaris Razor. Got to give a big shout out to all our sponsors here: Polaris Razor, General Tire, Rigid Industries, Dirtfish Rally School, UPR.com, Bloated Resort and Casino, Wakeboard Island that's now open, JMR Performance Brakes, KMC Wheels, Parker Motor Company, Gibson Exhaust, MTX Audio, the official audio partner of the Down and Dirty Radio Show, and Intense Tees. Got to give a shout out to Arie Luyendyk, Kristen Kenney, Joe Duncan, Chad Ragland, Ami Houde, and all of you listeners here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Give us a follow at JimBeaver15 on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook.com/DownAndDirtyShow and DownAndDirtyShow.com for all of those back episodes. Give me a follow on Periscope. We Periscope during the show most days at JimBeaver15. And don't forget Ami Houde at AmiHoude71 on Instagram and Twitter. Don't forget to get our app available on Apple, iTunes, Google Play, and the Amazon Kindle store. And we'll be previewing X Games next week here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, back on a Monday. Thanks for staying tuned, and as always, game on.
I've got one question for you. Are you ready to get your game on?
The longest running off-road and action motorsports radio show on the planet.